Welcome back to another episode of the BizMagic Podcast, your place for all things tech in your online business with some solid hits of general biz chat too. My name is Patty Meyer, and I am the CEO and founder of BizMagic, where my team and I support entrepreneurs who are overwhelmed by the back-end tech of their business. We create, implement, and teach the tweaks that help our clients make a bigger impact with less stress. Today, I'm going to share with you the 4 non-negotiable platforms that keep my business running. These are my ride or die platforms that I literally cannot imagine working without at this point. And I love talking tech, obviously, so I really want to share them with you. But before we start, I want to address the elephant in the room that lots of people like to ignore that I love to talk about. And that's that tools are not one size fits all. What works for me might not work for you. And that is totally okay. I'm sharing my platforms to give you some ideas of what works for me and what I like, because sometimes we get inspired by hearing what other people are using. But I do want you to remember that the best tools for your business are the ones that fit your unique needs and your style. I also want to say that choosing just 4 for this episode was really painful. It's like trying to pick my favorite cat. Like, it's not possible. So at the end, I'm going to throw in a few honorable mentions of platforms that I use, but I didn't want this podcast to be an hour or 5 hours long. So I figured sticking with 4 was probably the best bet. So without further ado, let's do this. So kicking things off is, drumroll please, Notion. I'm sure you're super surprised to hear that. If you're a regular listener or you follow me at all in my business, you probably saw this one coming. In fact, I dedicated an entire episode to Notion like 2 episodes ago. So if you want to dive deep into Notion, go back and check that out. There's also a blog post about that. I've got all sorts of stuff about it because I love it. But here's the too long didn't read of why Notion is a game changer for me. So as I've said in my previous podcast, Notion is my command center. It's where I house absolutely everything in my business that I possibly can. So project management, my client library and lead gen tracking, my team time management, our team directory, all of our content planning. Yeah, I could pretty much go on forever. And also, here's a friendly reminder that I actually sell my Notion Business Hub template. The link will be in the show notes. But what I really love about Notion is its flexibility. It's like a digital blank slate that I can mold into whatever I want, whether it's a content calendar, a task tracker, a team wiki, like I've talked about before. For me, it's like a dream come true, right? If you're someone who loves customizing your tools, I think Notion is probably going to be your jam. If you preferred like a ready to go kind of setup with fewer bells and whistles, or that maybe takes a bit less brain functionality or like tech comfort. It doesn't, I don't even really need to be comfortable with tech, but you get what I'm saying. Like, if you need something a little more ready to go, there's probably a lot of reasons why Notion is not a good fit for you. And there's lots of other stuff out there that could be better. So next up on my list is 17 Hats, and that has competitors like Dubsado and Honeybook. But 17 Hats is an all-in-one platform for managing clients, and it's pretty much saved me so much time. It's ridiculous. When I use 17 Hats, I use it to manage my client contracts, my invoicing, my questionnaires, because Notion doesn't do those things. And I don't use the workflows that are in it, but they have them, and I love that they have them. They also have a scheduler and all sorts of stuff like that. I don't love their scheduler, so I don't use that. But they have a ton of really great stuff in it. And so what makes it non-negotiable for me, though, is that it's super robust and user-friendly. And in comparison to some of its competitors like Dubsado and Honeybook, which I've tried, it does more, and it does it more easily. That was my experience. Like, it felt more intuitive to me than Honeybook and Dubsado. It felt like some of the ways you had to do certain things within those other 2 platforms felt clunky to me, I think, and they feel a little bit smoother in 17 hats. So that's why I really love it. And that is, why it's kind of one of my non-negotiables. And I've been using it since like 6 months in of my business. So I literally could not live without it at this point. Okay, number 4, we're at number 3. Number 3, let's talk about Canva. It's a graphic design platform for people who are pretty much not graphic designers like me. You've likely heard of it if you are in the business world, or not even in the business world. You've just likely heard of it, and you probably use it, so I don't have to spend much time outlining why this is my absolute favorite. But if you don't know about Canva, which no judgment, of course, it's where I create everything visual for my business and where my team creates everything visual for our clients' businesses. So like social media graphics, presentations, making PDFs pretty, even the covers for this podcast. All of that happens inside of Canva. What I really love about Canva is just how easy it is to use. You don't have to like be a professional in design or have a degree to make things that actually look like you had a degree. Plus, I think they're kind of killing it when it comes to the AI features that they're doing right now. It's just blowing my mind all the time. Like background removers for photos, like you can clear a photo that's blurry and make it clear. I mean, like it's endless. And I used to only be able to do basic stuff inside of Canva, and then I'd kind of muddle my way through Photoshop for everything else. But now I can do pretty much the vast majority of my design work inside of Canva. And so I love it, and that's why it's kind of, pretty non-negotiable for me. Okay, and last but not least, we have Voxer. It is something I use every single day and is one of my main forms of communication. It's basically like a walkie-talkie kind of app that lets you send voice messages. You can do text, you can do photos, you can do very short videos, basically a communication catch-all, right? And I use it for quick communication with my clients. I use it with my team. I love that it's asynchronous, so I can leave a quick thought or I can leave a long, detailed voice message for somebody, and neither of us really have to think about, I have to be available at this time, or we don't have to schedule a call, right? Getting on a meeting, endless meetings as a business owner. Being able to use Voxer saves me from having to be on those endless meetings because I can just pop into Voxer. It allows you to kind of process ideas and do a brainstorming session with somebody really quickly and easily. Plus, I think that, one of the challenges, as we all have experienced with email and text and things like that, can be you lose tone of voice and stuff. And so I think my experience is having Voxer for ongoing communication means I feel more connected to my clients and my team members when I can hear their voice and I know that they can hear mine, which is one of the reasons, right, I like doing this podcast. I like talking and sharing in that capacity. So for me, it's a massive time saver and it keeps communication really clear without eating up tons of time in my day. Okay, so now that I've shared my top 4, I do want to give a shout out to a few honorable mentions because narrowing it down, like I said, was really, really hard. So some other ones at the top of my list are Kit, which is formerly ConvertKit, and I use that for email marketing. It is my preferred email marketing platform, and I've used so many that are out there. ThriveCart, which is an external shopping cart I use for digital products, courses, things like that. Acuity scheduling, I do prefer over Calendly and some other ones. I really love Acuity for my kind of go-to scheduling. A tool not as many people know about, it's called Shift. And that is a tool I use to organize all my email accounts and a lot of my apps. So I have, I can have Voxer inside of there, and I have 17 hats in there, and I have Notion in there, and it's all one window. So I don't have to sign in and out of platforms, and I can create different workspaces. It's super cool. And then Squarespace, it's what I use for my website and like 99% of the sites I design for my clients. I think it's super simple to use. I can customize a lot with some basic CSS and HTML. I just think it's really great. So yeah, So these are all just really amazing tools that have made such a huge difference in my business. Again, there's still a lot more, but only because I'm such a damn tech nerd and I just love it so much. So, but since I could only keep 4 for this episode, the ones we talked about are the ones that kind of win for me. So yeah, that's it. That's my 4 non-negotiable platforms: Notion, 17 Hats, Canva, and Voxer. They all help me stay organized. They automate my workflows, help me communicate, and help me stay looking professional while I do it all. And my business would literally fall apart without these. But again, I want to reiterate that what works for me might not work for you, right? Like, I think the magic happens when you experiment, you try things out, and you find the tools that fit best for your business, which, by the way, we can help you do with our Tech Magic offering. And I'll link to that in the show notes if you'd like to learn more about how my team and I can help you find your non-negotiable tools. If you found this episode helpful, I would love for you to share it with other business owners or your biz bestie, anybody who might be on the hunt for perfect tools. If you have a favorite platform that didn't make my list, I want to hear about it because, like I said, tech nerd. So I appreciate you so much for listening, and I will talk to you next time. Thank you for listening to another episode of the BizMagic Podcast. Like most small businesses and podcasts, we rely heavily on word of mouth. So if you like what you heard today or in any episode, please share with your friends and colleagues, and rate, subscribe, and comment on your favorite podcast platform. Till next time, cheers to your magical biz success.